I'm Brooklyn Kelly, and I need to tell you how I became invisible in my own family. It was Thanksgiving 2023, and I was running late to my parents' house in the suburbs. I'd spent an extra hour at the hospital where I work as a senior healthcare administrator because we had an emergency staffing situation. But I knew what my family would think. Brooklyn's always late. Brooklyn can't get her life together. Brooklyn's such a mess. I pulled up in my 12-year-old Honda Civic, the check engine light glaring at me like an accusation. The transmission had been making a grinding noise for weeks, and the mechanic said it would cost $3,200 to fix. Money I absolutely didn't have. I'd been taking Ubers to work for the past week at $40 a day, watching my checking account drain like sand through my fingers. I grabbed the store-bought pumpkin pie from the passenger seat. I'd wanted to make one from scratch, but I couldn't afford the ingredients. My mother would notice. She always noticed when it came to my failures. The driveway was already packed with cars. My aunt's SUV, my uncle's truck, my cousin's sedan. And there, gleaming under the autumn sun like a trophy, was Derek's brand new leased Mercedes-Benz. Sleek, black, probably $800 a month. I would know. I'd seen the credit card charge when he'd put the down payment on my card 4 months ago. I touched the gold locket around my neck. My grandmother Eleanor's locket, the only piece of jewelry I owned that meant anything. She died 18 months ago, and I missed her so much it physically hurt sometimes. She was the only one who ever really saw me. Inside, the house smelled like turkey and rosemary and all the warmth that was supposed to come with family. My mother, Patricia, was in the kitchen directing traffic like a general. She barely glanced at me. "Brooklyn, you're late. Put the pie in the kitchen. And for heaven's sake, don't let your father see you put a store-bought pie on the table." "Hi, Mom. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too." She was already turned away, adjusting the centerpiece, making sure everything was perfect for the family photos she'd post on Facebook later. I set the pie down next to 3 homemade ones, my aunt's creations, no doubt, and felt that familiar shrinking feeling, the one where I tried to take up less space, be less trouble, somehow earn the love that seemed to come so easily to everyone else. "Brooklyn!" My best friend Jessica found me in the kitchen, pulling me into a hug. She was the only person I'd invited, the only person who felt like real family. How are you holding up?" "I'm fine," I lied, the same lie I'd been telling for 4 years. She gave me a look that said she knew exactly how not fine I was. But before she could say anything, the front door opened with a dramatic flourish. "The party has arrived!" Derek's voice boomed through the house, and I watched my mother's face light up like Christmas morning. She practically ran to greet him, arms wide, smile genuine in a way it never was for me. "Derek! Oh, and Amber, you look stunning!" My brother's wife posed in the doorway like she was on a red carpet. Designer everything, Gucci purse, Louboutin heels, Burberry coat. I knew because I'd seen the charges. I'd paid for that purse, $3,000. The same month, I'd skipped my doctor's appointment because I couldn't afford the copay. Derek swept in like a conquering hero, carrying an expensive bottle of wine, $200. I'd seen that charge too. And kissing our mother on both cheeks. He was 35, 3 years older than me, and he'd been the golden child since the day he was born. The first grandson, the one who would carry on the Kelly name, the future. And me? I was just Brooklyn, the helper, the responsible one, the one who didn't need attention because I was so capable. Brooklyn, Derek finally acknowledged me with a nod, the kind you'd give a distant acquaintance. Not a sister, not someone who'd been keeping him afloat for 4 years. Derek, Amber. I forced a smile. Amber air-kissed near my cheeks, her perfume expensive and suffocating. She was 29, a so-called Instagram influencer with 40,000 followers who watched her post about her blessed life and not hustle and girl boss energy. None of them knew the hustle was funded by me. Dinner was the usual performance. We gathered around my parents' dining table, extended to fit 15 people. My parents, Derek and Amber, my aunt and uncle, 3 cousins, Jessica and me. My father, Robert, said grace. My mother beamed at Derek across the table. Before we eat, my mother announced, I want to say how proud we are of Derek. His business is doing so well and he's worked so hard. A toast to success. Everyone raised their glasses. I raised mine too, the cheap wine bitter on my tongue. Derek's business was a joke. A tech startup that had generated exactly $0 in revenue in 4 years. But no one knew that except me. And Amanda Chen, the financial attorney I'd finally consulted 3 weeks ago, who'd looked at my records and used words like financial exploitation and emotional abuse. Mom, you don't have to, Derek started with false modesty. No, we're so proud. And Amber, your social media presence is just wonderful. You two are such an inspiration. I cut into my turkey and said nothing. This was my role, silent supporter, invisible helper. Brooklyn works hard too, Jessica said pointedly, bless her. She just got nominated for a promotion at the hospital. That's nice, dear, my mother said dismissively. Healthcare jobs are so stable, not like entrepreneurship. That takes real courage. The implication was clear. Derek was brave. I was safe, boring, predictable. I felt my phone buzz in my pocket, a notification from my credit card company. Payment received, account ending in 4782. Derek's card. The $1,500 monthly payment I'd made just that morning, $18,000 left to pay off. Out of $82,800 total, I'd paid off $64,800 of my brother's debt. And no one at this table knew except Jessica, who was watching me with worried eyes. So, Brooklyn, my uncle asked, making conversation. How's everything going with you? Good, I said automatically. Busy at work, but good. She's always working, my mother interjected. You should take time to enjoy life more like your brother. Travel, have fun. I nearly laughed. Travel? Fun? I hadn't taken a vacation in 4 years. I couldn't remember the last time I'd bought new clothes. I was wearing the same dress I'd worn to Christmas dinner 2 years ago, and it was getting threadbare at the seams. Meanwhile, Derek and Amber had been to Cabo, Barcelona, the Bahamas, and Napa in just the past year. I knew because Amber posted every moment. Living my best life. Blessed. Work hard, play hard. I'd watched those posts while eating ramen noodles for the 5th night in a row. Actually, I said, my voice smaller than I wanted it to be, my car broke down this week. The transmission? I was wondering if... How much is it to fix? My father asked. $3,200. I just need to borrow maybe $200 to get through until I can... Brooklyn, seriously? Derek's voice cut across the table like a knife. Everyone stopped eating. You need to stop asking for money. The room went silent, completely silent. I could hear my own heartbeat. You make good money at the hospital, he continued, louder now, playing to the audience. Maybe if you budgeted better, lived within your means like Amber and I do, you wouldn't always be broke. My face went hot. 15 pairs of eyes were on me. Jessica's hand found mine under the table, squeezing hard. Derek, I tried. No, seriously, it's every holiday. You need money for this, money for that. It's embarrassing. We're adults. We should be able to manage our finances. Amber nodded sympathetically, touching her husband's arm. Money management is so important. We use this great budgeting app. I could send you the link, Brooklyn. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed. I wanted to scream, to throw the evidence in his face, to tell everyone that the reason I was broke was sitting right there in his designer shirt, eating turkey I couldn't afford. But I didn't, because that's not who I was. That's not who I'd ever been. I was the good daughter, the one who didn't cause scenes, the one who swallowed her pain and smiled. You're right, I whispered. I'm sorry. My mother patted my hand, the gesture meant to be comforting, but feeling more like condescension. Derek's right, dear. You need to be more responsible. The conversation moved on. Someone asked about football. Someone else told a joke. And I sat there, invisible again, my grandmother's locket heavy against my chest. I excused myself to the bathroom after a few minutes. Jessica followed. Brooklyn, she said, closing the door behind us. You can't keep doing this. I was staring at myself in the mirror. 32 years old, dark circles under my eyes, wearing a worn-out dress and shoes I'd resoled twice. I looked tired. I looked beaten. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Transaction history. Scroll, scroll, scroll. 4 years of transfers. Payments to credit cards in Derek's name. $64,800. I have proof, I said quietly. Every single payment, every broken promise, every lie. Then use it, Jessica urged. Stop letting him destroy you. I touched the locket again. Inside was a tiny photo of my grandmother. Before she died, she'd left me a letter. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm, my darling girl. You deserve to burn bright on your own. I'd read that letter 100 times, but I'd never really heard it. Until tonight. I looked at Jessica, and something inside me shifted. Something small but crucial, like a door opening just a crack, letting in light I'd forgotten existed. They had no idea what was coming next, I said. Jessica raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I saved the transaction history screenshot, added it to the folder I'd been building for 18 months. Evidence, documentation, truth. I mean, I'm done being invisible. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You need to understand how I got here, how a smart, capable woman ended up paying nearly $65,000 for her brother's mistakes while being called irresponsible. It started the way it always does in toxic families. Long before I ever signed my name to anything. I was born 3 years after Derek, and from what I've been told, I was a disappointment from the start. Not because I was unwanted, but because I wasn't him. I wasn't the boy, the first grandson, the one who mattered. My earliest memory is being 5 years old, watching my parents load Derek's little league equipment into the car. They went to every single game, cheered from the stands, took photos, celebrated every hit like he'd won the World Series. When I asked to join softball the next year, my mother said, We'll see. We never saw. In school, Derek got tutors when he struggled. I was told I was more naturally smart and should figure it out myself. When Derek wanted to go to an expensive private college, my parents emptied their savings. 4 years, fully paid, plus spending money. When it was my turn, I sat with my father at the kitchen table while he showed me scholarship, applications, and FAFSA forms. You're so capable, Brooklyn. You'll be able to get aid. Derek needs the support more. Business majors have to make connections, join fraternities. It's an investment. I worked 3 jobs through college. I graduated with $30,000 in student loan debt that I paid off myself, one brutal payment at a time. Derek graduated with 0 debt and 0 job prospects. His connections didn't pan out. The business degree gathered dust while he bounced between get-rich-quick schemes. But every failure was spun as a learning experience. Every time he quit a job, he was finding himself. When he couldn't make rent, my parents helped. When he needed money for a new car because he wrecked the old one, they helped. And when they couldn't help anymore, they'd call me. Brooklyn, your brother needs a little support just until he gets on his feet. I gave him money. Not much at first. $200 here, $500 there, and he'd pay me back, eventually, and promise he wouldn't need to ask again. But he always did. Then came Amber. Beautiful, status-obsessed Amber, who saw Derek as her ticket to an influencer lifestyle. They met at some entrepreneurship conference he'd bought tickets to with money he didn't have. She had big dreams of being Instagram famous, and he had big dreams of looking successful. They were perfect for each other. They got married in a ceremony that cost $40,000. My parents contributed $20. Derek asked me for $5 just to help with the bar tab. I gave him $7 because I wanted him to be happy. I wanted to be a good sister. That's the thing about people like me. We're raised to believe that our value comes from what we give, from how much we sacrifice, from how invisible we can make our own needs. And people like Derek, they're raised to believe they deserve everything. The real nightmare started 4 years ago, November 2020, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Derek called me at 11 p.m. I remember because I was in bed, exhausted from a double shift at the hospital. We were in the thick of the pandemic and healthcare workers were running on fumes and prayers. Brooklyn, I need help. His voice was different, scared, real for the first time in years. What's wrong? My business, it failed. The tech startup. I put everything into it, and it just collapsed. I have investors threatening to sue. I have credit card debt I can't pay. I'm going to lose everything. I sat up. How much debt? Silence. Long enough that I knew the answer would be bad. $82,800. The number hit me like a physical blow. Derek, I know. It's bad. But Brooklyn, I'm facing bankruptcy, collections. Mom and Dad will find out. It'll kill them. You know how much they've invested in me, in the business, if they find out I failed this badly. He was crying. My big brother was crying, and despite everything, I felt that old instinct kick in. Protect him, help him, make it better. I don't have that kind of money, I said. I know, but your credit is good. Mine's destroyed. If you could consolidate the debt to your cards, get those low-interest balance transfer offers you're always so smart about, I could make payments to you. I'll pay you back 6 months tops. The business is pivoting and I have new investors interested. I just need time. Derek, I don't know. Please. You're the only one who can help. You're the only one I trust. And I swear to you, I'll pay back every penny. You won't regret this. Please, Brooklyn, I'm your brother. That was the line that got me. I'm your brother. As if I could ever forget. As if I hadn't spent 32 years being reminded that family meant sacrifice. Let me think about it, I said, but I already knew what I would do. Because that's what good daughters do. That's what invisible helpers do. We set ourselves on fire to keep others warm. I spent 3 days researching. I had excellent credit, 780 score, because I was careful with money. I found balance transfer offers at 0% interest for 18 months. If Derek paid me back in 6 months like he promised, we'd beat the interest, and he'd save his credit, his reputation, everything. I told myself I was being smart, strategic, helpful. I was being a fool. We met at a coffee shop. Derek brought all his credit card statements, 5 cards, all maxed out. $82,800 in charges, restaurants, electronics, business expenses that looked suspiciously like vacations, networking events, at expensive clubs. I had to maintain appearances, he explained. Investors want to see success. You have to look the part. I signed the forms, transferred his balances to my cards, watched my available credit disappear and my debt skyrocket. Derek hugged me. You're saving my life. I'll never forget this. 6 months, D, I said. You promised. 6 months, he agreed. That was November 2020. By May 2021, he hadn't made a single payment. The new business is taking longer to get off the ground. Just a few more months. By November 2021, I'd paid $12,000 in minimum payments. Derek had paid 0. I'm so close to a breakthrough, I swear. Just hold on a little longer. By 2022, I'd paid $30,000. My savings were gone. I stopped contributing to my retirement. I couldn't afford to see the dentist. I wore the same clothes until they fell apart. And Derek posted on Instagram about his new car, about his vacation to Cabo with Amber, about his hustler lifestyle, and manifesting abundance. Every single post felt like a knife in my back, but I didn't say anything because I'd been trained since birth not to make waves, not to cause problems, not to be difficult. I was too capable to need help, remember? By early 2023, I'd paid $50,000. I was drowning. I'd taken out a personal loan to cover my own expenses. My credit score had dropped to 650. I was behind on my car insurance. I'd started rationing groceries. And then my grandmother died. Grandmother Eleanor was the only person in my family who'd ever really seen me. She was my father's mother, and she'd never bought into my mother's golden child narrative. She'd call out the favoritism, much to my mother's irritation. Patricia, stop fawning over Derek. Brooklyn needs attention, too. Eleanor, Derek is just going through a difficult time. Brooklyn is fine. Brooklyn is always fine because you never ask her how she really is. My grandmother saw through all of it. When she got sick, stage 4 lung cancer moved fast. I was at her bedside every day. Derek visited twice. My parents were there often, but it was me who held her hand, who read to her, who stayed through the nights. 3 days before she died, she pulled me close. Brooklyn, I need you to listen to me. I don't have much time, and you need to hear this. Grandma, don't. Hush. You're killing yourself for people who will never appreciate it. I've watched you disappear a little more every year, and it breaks my heart. I'm just trying to help. You're trying to earn love that should be freely given, and it's costing you everything. She reached for the locket around her neck, the one I'm wearing now, and unclasped it. This was my mother's. She gave it to me when I left Ireland at 18, told me it would remind me who I was when the world tried to make me someone else. Now I'm giving it to you. Don't forget who you are, Brooklyn. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. She died 2 days later. At her funeral, my mother cried loudly. Derek gave a moving speech about how much she meant to him, and I stood there silently, wearing her locket, wondering if anyone noticed I was there at all. 2 weeks after the funeral, her lawyer contacted me. Grandmother Eleanor had left me $50,000 in a trust fund. The paperwork was specific. For Brooklyn's dreams, emergencies, and future, not to be accessed by other family members, not to be used for anyone else's debts. She knew. She'd always known. My mother was furious. Why would she leave you so much? Derek could have used that for his business, my father said quietly. It was her money, Patricia. But the damage was done. The message was clear. Even in death, my grandmother was playing favorites by treating me equally. I didn't touch the money. I couldn't. It felt wrong somehow, like admitting defeat, like saying I needed help. And besides, I was so close to paying off Derek's debt. Just $32,000 left. If I could just get through another year, 18 months. The letter came 3 days after the funeral. I found it in the safety deposit box with the trust fund documents. My dearest Brooklyn, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I hope you remember all our conversations. You've spent your life trying to earn a love that should never have conditions. Your parents failed you, not by hating you, but by not seeing you. And Derek learned to use you because no one ever taught him not to. This money is yours. Use it for yourself. Leave if you need to. Start over if you want to, but please, please stop lighting yourself on fire. You deserve to burn bright on your own. Love always, Grandma. I sobbed in my car in the bank parking lot. Great, heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep and broken inside me, but I still didn't stop making Derek's payments. Because hope is a terrible drug, and I was addicted to the idea that if I just gave enough, sacrificed enough, proved myself enough, they'd finally see me. The months dragged on. By fall 2023, I'd paid $64,800, $18,000 left. I was a shell. I'd lost 15 pounds because I couldn't afford food, and stress had killed my appetite. I'd had to cancel my health insurance because I couldn't afford the premiums. My car was dying. My apartment was falling apart. I was being evicted because I was 3 months behind on rent. And Derek was posting about his gratitude practice and his blessed life. In October, 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, I hit my limit. Not the exploding kind, the quiet kind, the dangerous kind. I called Derek. I need you to start making payments. Brooklyn, I told you. Things are tight right now. The business. Derek, you've said that for 4 years. I've paid $64,000. I can't do this anymore. I'm drowning. You're being dramatic. I'm being evicted. My car is broken. I can't afford food. This isn't dramatic. This is real. Silence. Look, I'll see what I can do. But you need to understand, I'm barely keeping my head above water, too. He wasn't. I knew he wasn't. I'd seen the Instagram posts, the new Apple Watch, the fancy dinners, the designer clothes on Amber. But I didn't push, because even in my desperation, I couldn't break the programming. Instead, I called Jessica, and Jessica called her friend Amanda Chen, a financial attorney. Amanda looked at my records, every payment, every text message, every broken promise, and said the words that changed everything. Brooklyn, this isn't help. This is theft with emotional manipulation. You have legal grounds to sue for repayment. You could get a judgment, garnish his wages, freeze his assets. But more importantly, you can stop paying right now. This debt is in his name. Let it go back to him. But he'll face the consequences of his own choices, like he should have 4 years ago. His credit is not your responsibility. Your life is your responsibility. For the first time in 4 years, I felt something other than guilt and exhaustion. I felt anger, real, righteous, clarifying anger. And then Thanksgiving came, and Derek humiliated me in front of everyone, and something inside me finally completely broke. The good daughter died that day, and someone new was born. The Friday after Thanksgiving, I woke up in my apartment, the one I was 3 months behind on rent for, and stared at the ceiling. My phone had 17 missed calls, 12 from my mother, 5 from Derek. I didn't answer any of them. Jessica had stayed over, sleeping on my lumpy couch. She brought coffee and bagels, things I couldn't afford, and sat on the edge of my bed. What are you going to do? I'd been asking myself that all night. What was I going to do? I'd spent 4 years being a victim, 4 years setting myself on fire, 4 years hoping that if I just burned bright enough, they'd feel the warmth. But all I'd done was turn myself to ash. I'm going to stop, I said. It sounded simple, but it felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. Jessica squeezed my hand. I'm with you, whatever you need. What I needed was to survive, and that meant making hard choices. Over that weekend, I laid it all out. Spreadsheets, bank statements, credit card bills, the full scope of my disaster. I'd paid Derek $64,800 over 4 years. $18,000 remained on the cards. My own debt, accumulated trying to survive while paying his, totaled $23,000. Personal loans, my own credit cards, medical bills I'd put off, my savings, $400, my checking account, $127, my grandmother's trust fund, $50,000 untouched, my rent, 3 months overdue, eviction notice posted on my door, my car, dead, $3,200 to fix, my job, at risk because I couldn't get to work reliably. My credit score, 650, down from 780. My mental health, shattered. The math was brutal and clear. I couldn't save Derek and save myself. I'd been trying to do both for 4 years, and it had nearly killed me. Monday morning, I called Amanda Chen. I want to stop paying. Good. Walk me through your situation. I told her everything. The eviction, the car, the job, the debt, the whole nightmare. Here's what we're going to do, Amanda said, all business. First, you stop making payments on Derek's cards immediately, today, this minute. Second, we send him a formal notice that you're calling in the debt. He owes you $64,800. Third, we give him 30 days to respond. Fourth, if he doesn't pay, which he won't, you decide if you want to sue. Will suing work? Depends. Do you have documentation? Every single payment, every text message, every promise. Then yes, you could get a judgment, garnish his wages if he has any. But Brooklyn, I need you to understand something. Your family will not take this well. I know. Do you? Because from what you've told me, they've built an entire narrative around Derek being successful and you being the problem. When you disrupt that narrative with facts, with evidence, with the truth, they're going to fight back. They're going to try to make you the villain. I thought about Thanksgiving, about being humiliated in front of 15 people, about 4 years of invisibility. Let them try. Amanda actually smiled. There's the spine. Okay, let's start with stopping payments. Do you have the card numbers? I did. We called each credit card company, explained that I was an authorized payer, but the primary account holder was Derek, that I was discontinuing payments effective immediately. The primary account holder will be notified that payments have stopped and the account may go into collections. The representative said. That's fine, I replied. Each call felt like cutting a rope that had been strangling me. By lunchtime, it was done. Derek's $18,000 remaining debt was his problem now. Now, Amanda said, let's talk about your immediate survival, your grandmother's trust fund. I can't use that for Brooklyn. Stop. Your grandmother left you that money specifically to save yourself. She wrote in the trust documents that it's for your dreams and emergencies. This is an emergency. She was right, but using it felt like admitting failure. Your grandmother's last gift to you was freedom, Amanda continued gently. Don't dishonor that by continuing to torture yourself. That hit me hard. Okay, I whispered. Okay, here's the priority list. First, pay your rent and get current. That's approximately $7,500 with late fees. Second, fix your car, $3,200. Third, pay off your highest interest personal loan. That's the $10,000 one at 18%. Fourth, set aside $5,000 for living expenses while you get stable. Fifth, put the rest in a high-yield savings account and don't touch it unless absolutely necessary. Total, $25,700, leaving me $24,300 in reserve. It felt like a fortune. It felt like breathing. I'll send you the formal debt demand letter for Derek. You'll need to mail it certified. Then we wait. The letter went out Wednesday, December 6th. Certified mail, signature required. Derek signed for it Friday, December 8th. He called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer. He texted, "What the hell is this? A legal letter? Are you serious? Call me now." I didn't respond. He called Jessica. "Tell Brooklyn she's making a huge mistake. She's going to destroy this family." Jessica, "Brooklyn's done destroying herself for you." He called my mother. That's when the real war started. My mother called me at 6 p.m. I knew what was coming, but I answered. "Brooklyn Marie Kelly, what have you done?" Middle name. Bad sign. I've stopped enabling Derek's financial irresponsibility. "You sent him a legal letter. His wife is hysterical. He's devastated. How could you be so cruel?" "Mom, I've been paying his credit card debt for 4 years. $64,000. Did he mention that?" "He said you offered to help him with a loan." "He said I offered." My voice was rising. I forced it down. "Mom, he begged me. Promised to pay me back in 6 months. That was 4 years ago. He hasn't paid a single dollar back. He's been struggling. He's been living in luxury while I've been eating ramen and getting evicted. Did he mention I'm 3 months behind on rent? That my car is dead? That I can't afford groceries? Silence. You never said anything, she said finally. I've been saying it for 4 years. Nobody listened. Don't be dramatic. If you were really struggling, we would have helped. I asked to borrow $200 at Thanksgiving. Derek told me to stop asking for money in front of the entire family. He was just trying to teach you financial responsibility. I laughed. Actually laughed. A bitter, broken sound. Financial responsibility from the man whose $82,000 debt I've been paying? Mom, do you hear yourself? This is different. Derek is trying to build something. He's an entrepreneur. You have a stable job. You should be helping him. I have been helping him. I was yelling now, years of silence exploding. I've given him $64,000. I've destroyed my credit, depleted my savings, and nearly lost my apartment. What more do you want from me? I want you to stop being selfish. I want you to think about someone other than yourself for once. I hung up. My hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking. Jessica appeared with tea. Breathe. She called me selfish. Of course she did. That's what narcissistic families do. When you stop being useful, you become the villain. My father called next. His call I answered because he'd always been the gentler one. Brooklyn, he said quietly. What's going on? I told him. Everything. The debt, the payments, the 4 years of sacrifice, the evidence I'd collected. He was quiet for a long time. I didn't know, he finally said. Because nobody asked. You all assumed Derek was successful and I was the problem. You should have told us. I did tell you. Constantly. Nobody listened. And at Thanksgiving, when I asked for help, Derek humiliated me. In front of everyone. Another long silence. What do you want to happen here, Brooklyn? I want Derek to take responsibility for his own debt. I want you and Mom to stop treating me like I'm the failure when I've been holding everyone up. I want to be seen as more than just the helper. That's not fair, he said, but his voice was uncertain. Isn't it? Your mother and I have always loved you. Have you? Because from where I'm standing, you've loved what I could do for you, for Derek. But me, the person, I don't think you've ever seen her. I hung up again. Over the next 2 weeks, the pressure intensified. My mother called daily, leaving increasingly angry voicemails. Derek sent long texts about how I was destroying his life, his marriage, his mental health. Amber posted cryptic Instagram stories. When family betrays you and God sees everything. My aunt called to say I was tearing the family apart. My uncle said I should be the bigger person. My cousin stayed silent, which somehow hurt more than the accusations. Only Jessica, Amanda, and a handful of my coworkers stood by me. Christmas came. I wasn't invited to any family gathering. Fine. I spent it with Jessica, eating Chinese food and watching movies. It was the most peaceful Christmas I'd had in years. But the loneliness hit at night. The wondering if I'd made a mistake, if I was being selfish, if I was the villain they said I was. You're not, Jessica assured me for the 100th time. You're just not being a doormat anymore. That feels like villainy to people who've been walking on you. Meanwhile, Derek's financial house of cards was collapsing. The credit cards he'd stopped paying because I'd stopped paying went to collections. His phone was ringing off the hook. His credit score plummeted. The Mercedes got repossessed. His business partners, other hustlers with no real income, started asking questions about money he owed them. Amber's Instagram showed cracks, fewer posts, more generic quats, gratitude, content, no more luxury hauls. And Derek, desperate, made his final mistake. He called me New Year's Eve. "Brooklyn, please, I'm begging you. Just one more payment, $8,000. I have a business opportunity that's going to change everything. I just need capital, please, for old times' sake." For old times' sake, as if the old times had been good. "Derek, no. You have grandma's money. You could help me if you wanted to." "You're just being vindictive." "I'm being what?" "You're enjoying this, watching me suffer. You're bitter because mom and dad always loved me more, and now you're getting revenge." Something in me went very, very cold. "Derek, I want you to listen very carefully. I have documentation of every payment I've made. $64,800. I have every text message where you promised to pay me back. I have screenshots of every Instagram post where you showed off a luxury lifestyle while I was struggling. And if you ever contact me asking for money again, I will take all of that evidence and post it publicly. Do you understand?" Silence. "Do you understand? You wouldn't try me." I hung up. Jessica was watching from the couch. "Damn. I'm done," I said. "I'm completely done." "Good. Now what?" Now came the hard part. Not stopping the payments. That was easy compared to this. Now came rebuilding, reclaiming, becoming visible again. I went back to work in January with a new resolve. I apologized to my supervisor for my recent unreliability and explained vaguely that I'd been dealing with a family financial crisis that was now resolved. "I'm committed to my work here," I said, "and I'd like to be reconsidered for that promotion." She studied me. "You seem different." "I am different." "Good. The position is still open. Submit your updated application." I did, and this time I invested in myself. Used some of the trust fund money to buy professional clothes, get my hair done properly, practice my interview skills with a coach. I nailed the interview. By February, I was promoted to Director of Healthcare Administration. $15,000 raise, better benefits, an office with a window. My first paycheck, I stood in the parking lot and cried. Relief, pride, hope. That weekend, I moved into a new apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Clean, bright, no eviction notices. I furnished it slowly, carefully, each piece chosen because I liked it, not because it was the cheapest option. I put my grandmother's picture at the mantel. I was building a life. But the family crisis wasn't over. It was about to explode because Derek backed into a corner, did the thing that desperate people do. He went nuclear. It was late February when Derek made his move. He posted on Facebook, tagged our entire family, made his play for sympathy. It's with a heavy heart that I share our family's private struggles. My sister has decided to publicly attack me during the hardest time of my life. I made some business mistakes. I'm human. I asked my sister for help, and she agreed. Now, years later, she's demanding money back and threatening legal action. She's trying to destroy my reputation, my marriage, and my relationship with our parents. I'm sharing this because I believe in transparency. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. Families should support each other, not tear each other down. Please keep us in your prayers." The comments poured in. "So sorry you're going through this. Family should always come first. Your sister sounds toxic." I stared at my phone, watching my character assassination happen in real time. Then I called Amanda. "He just declared war," I said. "Good," she replied. "Because we have weapons he doesn't know about. It's time to tell the truth. All of it, with evidence. Are you ready?" Was I ready? I'd been ready for 4 years. "Do it." Amanda drafted a response. Legal, precise, devastating. But Jessica had a better idea. "Don't just respond on Facebook. That's his territory. Make this bigger, make it public, make it impossible to ignore." "How?" She grinned. "You forget what I do for a living." Jessica worked in digital marketing. She knew social media, virality, strategic messaging. "We're going to tell your story with full documentation. We're going to make this so public, so well evidenced that nobody can spin it. And we're going to let the internet do what it does best: hold people accountable." Over that weekend, we built the case. A Twitter thread, detailed, devastating, documented. Every payment with dates and amounts, screenshots of Derek's promises to pay back in 6 months, side-by-side comparisons, Derek's Instagram posts about vacations and luxury, dated next to my payment records, photos of the legal demand letter, his Facebook post calling me toxic. The truth laid bare. Jessica helped me write it in a way that was factual, not emotional. Let the evidence speak. Monday morning, I posted. Thread: "My brother posted yesterday claiming I'm trying to destroy him. Here's what he didn't tell you. I've been paying off his $82,800 credit card debt for 4 years. Here's the evidence." November 2020, Derek asked me to consolidate his debt to my credit cards. He promised to pay me back in 6 months. I have the text messages. Here they are, screenshots. "For 4 years, I made payments. Every single month, $1,500 minimum. I paid off $64,800 of his debt." Payment records. Meanwhile, Derek posted on Instagram about his blessed life. Here's a comparison of his posts versus my payment dates. Photo grid: Derek in Cabo, next to payment record dated the same week. Amber's Gucci haul, next to payment record. New car, next to payment record. At Thanksgiving 2023, I asked to borrow $200 because my car broke down. Derek told me in front of 15 family members to stop asking for money and learn to budget. I didn't respond that day. But I had been paying his $82.8K debt while he lived in luxury. I couldn't afford food. I was being evicted. I had destroyed my credit, keeping him afloat. In December, I stopped paying. I sent a legal letter asking for repayment. He called me vindictive, said I was bitter, asked me for another $8,000. Now he's playing victim on Facebook, claiming I'm attacking him. Here's my bank statement showing 4 years of transfers. Here's his credit card statement showing it's his name, his debt, documents. I'm posting this not for revenge, but for truth. If you're in a family where you're expected to set yourself on fire to keep others warm, this is your sign that you don't have to. You deserve better. Derek owes me $64,800. I don't expect to ever see it, but I'm no longer funding his lies. I hit post, and the internet exploded. Within an hour, 500 retweets. Within 2 hours, 5,000. By end of day, 50,000 retweets trending on Twitter, picked up by news sites. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive. This happened to me with my sister. Thank you for speaking up. The receipts, this is how you handle a manipulator. The fact that he humiliated her for asking for $200 while she'd paid $64K, I'm furious for her. This is financial abuse, full stop. How do I send this to my family without sending this to my family? But more importantly, people who knew Derek started talking. An old college friend. Derek owes me $3,000 from 2015. He said he'd pay me back. Never did. A former business partner. Derek took $10,000 from me for an investment opportunity that never materialized. He won't return my calls. A vendor. His company never paid our invoice. $7,500. We had to write it off. The pattern was clear. I wasn't Derek's only victim. I was just his biggest one. And then Amber posted a long Instagram story crying. I had no idea. Derek told me his parents paid off his credit cards. He told me the business was profitable. He told me we could afford our lifestyle. I've been living a lie. I'm so sorry, Brooklyn. I'm filing for divorce. She deleted all her luxury haul posts, changed her bio to remove Mrs. Derek Kelly. The influencer image she'd built crumbled overnight. My mother called frantic. Brooklyn, what have you done? Everyone is talking about this. We're humiliated. How could you air our private family business? Mom, Derek aired it first. He called me toxic on Facebook. I just told the truth. With evidence, with documents, you've destroyed his reputation. His reputation was built on lies. I just showed the truth. But people are saying terrible things about him, about us. They're saying we're bad parents. That stung her. I could hear it. Are you a bad parent, Mom? Silence. You treated Derek like a golden child and me like an invisible helper. You enabled his failures and dismissed my successes. You let him humiliate me at Thanksgiving. So, are you a bad parent? That's not fair. It's the truth, and the truth isn't always fair. She hung up. My father called an hour later. Brooklyn, I need you to take down the post. No. Your mother is beside herself. Derek is getting death threats. This has gone too far. Dad, I spent 4 years drowning while Derek posted about abundance. I spent 4 years invisible while he shined. I'm not taking down the truth. But the family. What family? The one that excluded me from Christmas. The one that called me selfish for stopping payments on someone else's debt. That family? We're trying, he said quietly. We know we haven't been perfect. You've been willfully blind. And I'm done being invisible so you can keep pretending everything is fine. That night, a journalist from a major online publication reached out. We'd like to write a story about your experience. Financial abuse within families is underreported. Your documentation is extraordinary. Would you be willing to speak on the record? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Then I said yes. The article ran 3 days later. The Invisible Sister, How Family Financial Abuse Nearly Destroyed One Woman's Life. It went viral. Millions of views. Suddenly I was on podcasts, news segments, social media interviews, telling my story, showing the receipts. And every time I told it, more people came forward with their own stories. Siblings who'd been ATMs, daughters who'd been sacrificed for sons, helpers who'd been erased. Derek's life, meanwhile, collapsed completely. The Mercedes was gone, repossessed. His business was exposed as having generated zero revenue. His remaining partners pulled out. His credit cards went to collections. Amber filed for divorce, citing financial fraud and emotional manipulation. He had to move in with our parents, the ultimate humiliation for a 35-year-old entrepreneur. And he finally got a real job. Warehouse work, hourly, 40 hours a week. The reality he'd avoided for years was now unavoidable. One night in March, my doorbell rang. Derek stood there. No Mercedes, no designer clothes, looking tired and for the first time real. "Can I come in?" Every instinct screamed no, but I opened the door. We sat in my living room, the one I'd furnished with my own money, my own choices. "I'm sorry," he said. I waited. "I'm sorry for everything, for using you, for taking your money, for humiliating you, for never seeing you. You were right about all of it." "Why are you here, Derek?" "Because I need you to know that I'm not asking for anything. Not money, not forgiveness, not anything. I just needed you to hear me say it. You deserved better. You deserved a real brother, and I failed you." I looked at this man, my brother, my tormentor, my cautionary tale. "I appreciate you saying that. I'm in therapy," he continued. "Real therapy. Trying to figure out why I became this person, why I thought I could use people. Mom and Dad enabled me, but that's not an excuse. I made choices, bad ones." "Yes, you did." "I'm working at a warehouse. I'm paying off my debts, slowly, but I'm doing it. I'll never be able to pay you back all of it, but I'm going to try, even if it takes decades." "Derek, I don't want your money." He looked confused. "I want you to be a real person. I want you to take responsibility. I want you to understand what you took from me, and honestly, I want you to leave and let me build a life without you in it." "I understand," he said quietly. "I'm sorry I cost you so much." "You cost me 4 years, but you didn't cost me my future. I'm taking that back." He nodded, stood, walked to the door. "Brooklyn?" "Yeah." "For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. For standing up, for telling the truth. You're stronger than I ever was." "I know." He left. I never saw him again. Well, that's not quite true. I saw him once more, but I'm getting ahead of myself. 6 months after the viral post, my life looked nothing like it had. I was living in a bright, airy 2-bedroom apartment in a good neighborhood. The extra bedroom was an office. My space, my sanctuary, decorated with my grandmother's photos and my own accomplishments. I'd been promoted again at the hospital, Associate Vice President of Healthcare Operations. It came with a significant raise, better benefits, and actual respect from my colleagues. They'd seen the viral posts, they'd read the articles, and instead of judging me, they'd rallied around me. "We had no idea you were going through that," my supervisor said. "You never let it show at work." "I'm good at being invisible," I replied. "Not anymore," she said, smiling. My finances were finally stable. The personal loans were paid off. My credit score was climbing, 680 and rising. My savings account actually had money in it. I could afford groceries without anxiety. I could go to the doctor. I could breathe. I'd started investing my grandmother's remaining trust fund money. $24,000 left after I'd stabilized my life. Conservative portfolio, steady growth, building a future. I took my first real vacation in 5 years. a solo trip to Ireland, my grandmother's homeland. I walked the green hills, visited the village where she was born, stood in the old stone church where her parents were married. I scattered some of her ashes there at her request. The rest were in the locket I still wore every day. I made it, Grandma, I whispered to the wind. I found myself again. My social life transformed too. I joined a support group. Adult children of narcissistic families. 15 people meeting weekly, sharing stories, healing together. I wasn't alone. My story was common, heartbreakingly common, but we were all learning the same lesson. You can't change your family of origin, but you can choose your family of choice. Jessica remained my closest friend, my sister in all the ways that mattered. We had chosen families at dinners every week, potlucks with friends, colleagues, people who saw me. Amanda, my attorney, became a friend too. We met for coffee monthly, talking about everything from legal issues to life issues. You saved my life, I told her once. No, she corrected. You saved your own life. I just showed you the door. You walked through it. My love life's even improved. I started dating again, casually at first, then more seriously. I met someone through the support group, another survivor of family financial abuse. We understood each other in ways others couldn't. It wasn't serious yet, but it was healthy. He saw me, really saw me. And I wasn't trying to earn his love through sacrifice. What a concept. As for my family, my mother and I hadn't spoken in 4 months. She'd sent emails, long, rambling attempts at explaining herself without actually apologizing. I never meant to make you feel less than Derek. I just knew he needed more support. You were always so capable. Translation: it's your fault for being competent. I wish you'd told us how bad things were. We would have helped. Translation: it's your fault for not speaking louder when we weren't listening. Airing our private family issues publicly was cruel. Translation: you embarrassed us by telling the truth. I responded once, Mom, I'd be open to rebuilding our relationship when you're ready to acknowledge how your favoritism damaged me. Not explain it, not justify it, acknowledge it. She never responded. My father tried harder. He sent occasional texts. Saw you on that podcast. You spoke well. Your mother misses you. We both do. I'm sorry I didn't protect you better. That last one almost broke me. Almost. I responded, thank you for saying that. I miss you too. But I need space to heal. He respected us. We texted monthly, slowly building something new. Maybe one day we'd have coffee. Maybe. Derek was living with our parents, working his warehouse job, going to therapy. I heard updates through my father's texts. Your brother is doing better. Really trying. He asks about you sometimes. I never asked back. Derek was on his own journey now. I hoped he succeeded, but it wasn't my responsibility anymore. Amber had moved on quickly, divorced Derek, moved to a different city, started over with a marketing job. Her Instagram was private now, her influencer dreams dead. I felt bad for her, actually. She'd been complicit, yes, but she'd also been lied to. We were both Derek's victims, in different ways. The extended family was mixed. Some relatives reached out with apologies and support. Others disappeared, presumably still loyal to the family comes first narrative. I didn't chase anyone. The people who wanted to know me knew where to find me. My story continued to resonate online. The original Twitter thread had millions of views. The article had been shared across every platform. I got messages daily from people in similar situations. Your story gave me the courage to stop paying my sister's rent. I finally set boundaries with my parents, thank you. I thought I was alone. Seeing your receipts helped me document my own situation. I started responding, sharing resources, connecting people with financial therapists and attorneys, building a community. In May, I started a scholarship fund in my grandmother's name, the Eleanor Kelly Scholarship for Overlooked Daughters. $5,000 annually for young women who'd overcome family adversity to pursue education. The first recipient was a 20-year-old who'd paid her brother's legal fees while working 3 jobs. She was brilliant, driven, and invisible in her family. You're not invisible to me, I told her at the award ceremony. You're extraordinary. She cried. I cried. We hugged like we were family. Because we were. Chosen family. In October, 1 year after the Thanksgiving disaster, I hosted Friendsgiving. 20 people crammed into my apartment. Jessica and her girlfriend, Amanda and her wife, my coworkers, my support group friends, my boyfriend, the scholarship recipient. People who saw me, who celebrated me, who would never ask me to diminish myself so they could shine. We ate too much, laughed too loud, played ridiculous games, took terrible photos. It was perfect. My phone rang during dessert. My mother's number. I let it go to voicemail. You okay? Jessica asked. Yeah, I said, and I meant it. Later, I listened to the voicemail. Brooklyn, it's Mom. I know you don't want to talk to me. I understand. But it's Thanksgiving, and I wanted you to know. I'm sorry. Not for why you think. Not for preferring Derek. But for not seeing you. You were right. I was blind. Willfully blind. And you paid the price. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I needed you to hear me say it. I was wrong. You deserved better. You deserved to be seen. Happy Thanksgiving, sweetheart. I saved the voicemail, didn't respond. But I saved it. Maybe one day, maybe not. But it was a start. In December, I finally visited my grandmother's grave for the first time since the Irish trip. I brought flowers, told her everything. You were right, Grandma. I can't pour from an empty cup, and I don't have to set myself on fire to keep others warm. The wind rustled through the trees, and I swear I felt her there. I found my real family, the one that shows up, that sees me, that would never ask me to disappear so they could shine. The Kelly family name might not acknowledge me, but Eleanor Kelly's granddaughter, she's thriving. I touched the locket. Thank you for the gift. Not the money, the permission to choose myself, to be visible, to burn bright on my own. I stood there for a long time, watching the sun set over the cemetery. I thought about Derek, working in a warehouse, slowly learning responsibility. I thought about my parents, maybe finally seeing what they'd done. I thought about Amber starting over. I thought about the people who'd reached out, who'd shared their stories. And I thought about me, Brooklyn Kelly, 32 years old, finally visible. The best revenge I'd learned wasn't destroying them. It was refusing to let them destroy me. It was building a life so full of genuine love and success that their approval became irrelevant. It was choosing myself. It's Thanksgiving 2024. and I'm sitting in my apartment writing this. I never reconciled with Derek. He's still at my parents' house, still working, still in therapy. My father sends updates. He's apparently dating someone new, someone who calls him out on his behavior. Good for him. My mother and I talk now. Once a month, coffee in neutral territory. It's stilted, careful. She's trying. So am I. We might never be close, but we're not enemies. She admitted finally that she'd always treated Derek differently. I thought boys needed more support. I thought you'd be fine because you were smart. I was wrong. It wasn't a complete apology, but it was something. My father and I are better. He's acknowledged his passivity, his enabling. I should have been your advocate. I wasn't. I'm sorry. We have dinner sometimes, just the two of us, slowly rebuilding. My career is thriving. I'm being considered for vice president. At 33, my scholarship fund has grown. We're giving out 3 scholarships this year. My relationship is steady. We talk about moving in together. It's scary and exciting and healthy. And me? I'm happy. Actually, genuinely happy. Not the fake happy of someone trying to earn love through sacrifice, but the real happy of someone who knows her own worth. I look at photos from that Thanksgiving 2023. I look exhausted, hollow, barely there. I look at photos from Friendsgiving 2024. I look alive, bright, present. That's the difference between existing and living. For years, I existed. I paid Derek's debts. I swallowed my needs. I made myself small. Now, I'm living. Loudly, visibly, unapologetically. The Kelly family still doesn't fully acknowledge what they did to me. Maybe they never will, but I acknowledge it. I see myself. And I've built a family, a chosen family, that sees me too. Sometimes people ask if I regret exposing Derek, if I regret airing the family drama publicly. No, not even a little, because that exposure freed me, and it freed hundreds of other people who saw themselves in my story. If you're reading this and you see yourself here, the overlooked child, the family ATM, the person who keeps giving to people who only take, please hear me. Your worth isn't measured by how much you sacrifice. You don't owe loyalty to people who offer you crumbs while you give them your whole plate. The family you choose can love you better than the family you were born into. And the best revenge, it's not making them hurt. It's refusing to let them make you small anymore. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to burn bright on your own. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep anyone warm. I'm Brooklyn Kelly, and I'm not invisible anymore. Tell me in the comments, have you ever been the invisible one in your family? Have you set yourself on fire to keep others warm? Drop a fire emoji if this resonated with you. And if you're still in the middle of your story like I was, know this: your voice matters. Your boundaries matter. You matter. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop saving people who are drowning you. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's build a community of people who refuse to be invisible anymore.